You're watching the David Benjamin High-Tech Direct TV Sports Zone.
The Sports Zone as we continue talking about high school football. The Cookeville High Cavaliers traveled to Pulaski to take on Giles County in the season opener. Last season, the Cavs handed the Class 4A champions their only loss of the season, so the Bobcats were looking for a little revenge this year. Giles County jumped out to a 14-0 lead before Stephen Bush scored on a 16-yard scamper. After falling behind 21-7 at halftime, the Cavs came back and tied the contest on a Dalen Martin 5-yard run, followed by an Austin Gamble 97-yard return on a field goal attempt. Check that out. Well, Giles County scored with less than 2 minutes to go and posting a 28-21 win over the Cavaliers. Well, you know, it must be football season because look who we got here. Cookeville High head coach Jerry Giles. And coach, I know your first game's under the belt. Tough loss at Giles County, 28-21. You never want to start the season off that way, but if there's one thing I've heard from coaches over the year is you make the most improvement from that first game to the second game.
Right. That's always been, periodically you hope that you improve over the season and you get better and better as the year goes along. If you're peaking at the first ball game, then you got a long season ahead. Hopefully we didn't peak for sure. I think we committed enough turnovers. We were -1 in that one. We had 3 and they had 2, and so we're -1 there. But the biggest thing I was concerned about was offside penalties and just the overall perspective of the game that we just didn't seem like. I mean, we had kids getting on late on the field for special teams. We had people not sure with assignments. It just was a game where we didn't perform up to our potential.
And, not to make excuses or anything like that, but, I mean, we had massive flood here last week.
Sure.
You guys were affected by it. I mean, there was water in the field house. You couldn't even practice on Wednesday, but yet you got to get in that mindset that you got to travel 2.5 hours and go play a football game.
Yeah, it was, and, if you listen to Coach Dungeon and a lot of those guys, always prepare for the unexpected because those things will happen to you. Well, last week was that week, when you figure the flood on Wednesday, Thursday no school, so you go back to trying to make up for Wednesday's practice, but really it's a day before a game, so you don't want to do too much. And then you go a 2.5 hour trip, which is another thing in high school that you deal with. You get out of school, or it's just, but those are all excuses.
Yeah.
So in my book, it's not part of it. It's something to deal with. Get over it and let's do it. And going into Giles County, we knew they were a team that had been very successful last year. I think they won a state championship. So they were very successful. Then we come in and our game is in a situation where, we're not totally in control, but we fight back to be even. And then you got to find the guys that step up. And the other night we just didn't do it.
And one of the things I read about in the paper where you're talking about big plays, and you got to eliminate big plays. Too many big plays for Giles County.
Well, if you generally get beaten secondary in big games. Generally you either miss a tackle in the secondary or you get a bomb thrown on you or somebody jukes somebody and they get loose. You generally don't get beat with the long run up front. It's usually in the secondary where somebody misses that tackle or something. So those are the things. And we had 2 passes, and one of them was called back, that we didn't have anybody around them. So whether miscommunication, whether not doing what they're supposed to do, those are things. And that's the errors we talk about, and that's the mistakes we talk about. So, but it's they can be corrected, right. And we can move on. It's a non-region or non-district game. It's a pride game that we want to win. We have another pride game this week, which Tullahoma is a much improved ball club. They had their field with Blackman, but I think a lot of people are going to have their field with Blackman. So, I think both of us are playing competition that we're both pretty much equal amounts. And so it's going to be a matter of who improves from game 1 to game 2.
Well, there were some good things that you saw on Friday night that you can build on, some of the positives.
Yeah, there's positive situations. I thought our little kicker, our little sophomore, Tyler Wright, did a really good job. And Daniel Watson had been sick during the week. And Watson was kind of our premier kicker, but had been sick during the week. And Wright had a good week of practice. So we went with Wright, and he did well, 4 for 4 extra points. I think that'll pay off in the long run with him and Daniel. I thought that both our quarterbacks were adequate. They didn't do great, but they didn't do bad. So, I think that was Dalen had a big night, but he carried it way too many times. You know, he carried 25 times. Dalen needs it somewhere in the neighborhood of 20, 18. And then we have to spread it around and let some other people carry the football, and we've got some other good backs. I thought defensively, when we played consistent potential our football, we weren't bad. But when we were out of zone and out of whack, we were bad. But again, we're going to get better.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. You are going to get better.
We are going to get better. We are going to get better, and we're going to start today.
Yeah.
And you know, every day's that new day. The sun came up, and we're going to get better.
You know, as far as the flood stuff goes, I know, you know, a lot of things were ruined in the field house here. How do you deal with that? What do you do?
Well, and that's an issue that, you know, we have taken up a little bit. We about and somebody said, well, was it because you built the new building? Did that make the water? No, it was 8 inches of rain that came in, and we ended up flooding our weight room, coach's office, the whole back. Got it back in the lockers in the locker area, and so we've taken all the water out. We've taken all the carpet out. We ruined a few things, some mechanical things, but that's kind of where we are. So we haven't really reported much. We've just kind of dealt with it as a football team and felt like it's, you know, something we have to deal with, and let's make the best of it.
Well, hopefully maybe you got all the negative stuff behind you now, nothing but positives here for the Cavaliers. And, Coach, we wish you the best of luck this week.
I appreciate it, buddy. And it's always good, you know, get started the year, like you said, when we get started and get to see you guys, because, you know, the rest of the year y'all kind of hide from us, and so we don't get a chance to meet with you. But once we get started, it's always a good year. And our kids are good kids, and I don't want to ever – you know, because we play bad doesn't mean they're bad kids. It just means that we didn't do what we were supposed to. And so the reality of it is I still under that old Barry Bryant philosophy. I don't look at them first. I look at me. Yeah. You know, what did I do or what didn't I do? And I'm not going to let that happen.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Your local source for DirecTV, HD TVs, and installation is David Benjamin's High Tech Direct.